Janky! Hello and welcome to this episode of Kennedy Saves the World. It's Kennedy here along with Jimmy Failla because it is Monday. We have a whole weekend of things to digest and discuss and forecast the week ahead. Jim?
Bang! Good to see you.
We were at the Yankees game.
Yes.
Not together, a few sections apart.
Mm-hmm.
But we did get to high five in the concourse.
I was 12 degrees to your left, unbeknownst to you, because Kennedy, I was trying to call you out at the game. I had the entirety of section 130 for 2 innings, yelling, Kennedy! Every time you stood up, Kennedy!
No, I couldn't
screaming.
See it. You're like, I'm at the wall, so I thought you were in the very top seats with Lincoln.
No.
And then I look over and you were with 200 people.
Yeah, but we were by the
like,
wall.
Oh,
like
big Jim, Cadillac Jim Failla, buying out an entire section.
But when I say the wall, I mean like the wall that's part of the field. Yeah. You were looking at the Pink Floyd CD, The Wall. Yeah. I was like, no, Miss
we
VJ,
don't need no
education. And I'm proof. We don't need any education. Maybe a little bit. So the point is, yes, we met in a concourse, and it was glorious. And it was nice to see you.
Yeah, it's good to see you, too.
It's nice to know that I don't drink at all at a Yankee game, isn't it?
Is that true?
Oh, God, no.
I had disaster. 2 Mai Tais. They were lovely.
We were smashed. We were telling the left fielder, we've seen better Tigers, Joe Exotic. And we were making a lot of weird Tiger King references, but he got them and was clapping and laughing. We had a lot of good heckles. Lincoln did a good job, too. So we're proud.
I'm glad you're teaching Lincoln that art. One of my children is learning the same art in a different venue that I'm not going to reveal here because I don't want people knowing who she is or what she's doing.
Oh, I love this
so
much.
There's some rabble-rousery
Can't wait to wrap this taping up. I got some dirt coming my way.
So, Jimmy, the campus protest last week. I'm looking at these people, and I think, yes, of course, people have the right to protest things. And they're like, it's just like the Vietnam protests. Like people who are defending are like, these are anti-war protesters. It's like, no, actually, they're not. They're calling for the genocide of Jews. They're calling for the eradication of Israel.
Not
and
ideal.
They're being given talking points from Hamas directly.
Yeah.
Like they're being watered down, reduced, boiled into a nice balsamic glaze, and then they're being fed on a salad.
And
to protesters at NYU, Columbia, UCLA, you name it, if there are stinky dipshits, they are spewing actual terrorist propaganda.
Terrorist propaganda at schools that bans comedians because they're like, well, speech is violence. No, you're not going to be here telling jokes because that could lead to violence. Anyway, we're having a Kill the Jews rally at 3, so we got to run, Jimmy. Sorry about the comedy show. But we're not going to have your violence here on campus.
We have to physically block any Zionists from getting into the library.
We're not going to have that.
But you're telling dick and your mom jokes.
Yeah, no way you're going to talk about your nuts when we've got this global intifada chant going on at 3 o'clock because you and your nuts could lead to violence. So anyway.
How did the world get this stupid?
It's the dumbest time there's ever been to be alive. I do blame social media and the phone because it's turned everything into a branding exercise. And a lot of stupid people want to align their brand with what's trending well in their circle. So if you're surrounded by a lot of, I hate the term privilege, but these are the most privileged kids in society.
Oh, yeah.
The most privileged children who've ever lived.
There was one of the protesters lives in a $3.5 million Brooklyn brownstone.
Of course.
He's a fancy lad with fancy parents. And, it's like, and he's screaming about injustice. But I love that they don't have an action list. They're like,
no.
We want to end colonization.
No. Hold on. You were wrong. They have an action list. They want DoorDash. That was plan A. They wanted sushi. Then they wanted...
We want gluten-free food and hot lunch. This is important.
This is oppression here. Time was you could protest. And you got provided hot food. What do you mean?
Is that too much to ask?
But that is also the proof that this is like a lifestyle for them. And that the Hamas conflict could go away tomorrow. A good example would be they tried to run with a story late last week about, the guys standing up for the flag. And that was like, that might have been toxic masculinity. Or there was a group of campus protesters mocking a black woman. And they could be like, that was racism. They just need a cause. They don't actually need a cause so much as a cause becomes their cause, meaning what they're doing now. And I've said this to you before. In this era, because of social media, and Bill Maher actually, to his credit, called this out. And although I don't give him a free pass on a lot of what the left is doing, he was at least aware enough to realize these people don't care about the cause so much as the clout that comes from the cause. So the same people who wanted to, occupy Wall Street, that wanted to defund the police, are the same people that want to do this.
And they're gluing their hands to basketball courts and throwing tomato soup at the Mona Lisa.
Yep.
and in the name of stopping climate change.
Yeah.
And now they're like, oh, did you get a keffiyeh on Amazon? Like, do you have Prime? Is it next day shipping? It's like they don't really care.
No,
like
nobody cares.
They're some of the least principled people in this country. But the thing that I do like that you touched on is, and I've said this for a while, like my older daughter, she's 18, almost 19. Almost all of her guy friends are conservative. Not all of them, but a majority of them are, because that's the only true form of rebellion.
Yeah.
And so you're seeing guys in fraternities from Ole Miss to LSU to Arizona State.
Frat boy summer.
And they're the only ones standing up for, what should be rationality and preserving whatever the American dream is.
Imagine that.
The only ones left.
And this is unique to their generation, because it's only been going on in the last, in basically the social media era, that we started to just demonize white dudes for existing. But like, check your white male privilege, the term toxic masculinity that we touched on earlier. They've made it punk rock to just be like a white kid who follows the rules, which is the most squarest thing you could ever be.
Yes.
It's traditionally what we made fun of, but now they're somehow the heroes, because we've given such a long rope to a-holes. And the a-holes who are unmoored to anything. There is no moral compass associated with anything they're doing, because they try to liken this to a genocide. And they're like, we're anti-genocide, so we're supporting Hamas, the side calling for the genocide. Israel doesn't have a Muslim problem. They have a terrorist problem. They have 2 million Muslims living there. So the white kids at least get it, that this is the punk rock lane, and kids always gravitate towards the punk rock lane. You want to tell your parents they're idiots. You want to rage against the machine and all that fun stuff. And they've made themselves, their very existence is punk rock, just by being a white kid willing to show up and be like, yeah, I'm white. I don't mean nothing by it. That's now badass.
Yeah, I like the American flag. I want to make money and be a capitalist at some point.
Yeah, I want to make money and get laid.
Yeah, and
not a bad thing.
Don't go anywhere. More Kennedy Saves the World right after this.
So MIT, this was just in the New York Post today. They got rid of their DEI pledge.
Yep.
Which I thought it was just like, I check a box here, I sign something, but they have to write like a 2 to 3 page essay if they're going to get hired as faculty at MIT. And it's not just MIT. MIT is the first one, was like, there are freedom of speech issues here, and this isn't enforceable, and it doesn't work, so we're not doing this anymore.
Yeah.
But every other college has this.
They still
and
have
so
it.
Those are the people are terrified to stand up for what they know is right.
Yep.
Because they're worried that they're going to be fired or canceled or made an example of if they work in corporate America. There are very few companies like, you know what, this is really a waste of time and money.
Well, I think where we're watching this sea change that I'm optimistic will happen is a lot of big institutions just realize this isn't sustainable, because you're kind of incentivizing grievance that will get you sued. That's a lot of what they're doing here. By putting so much emphasis on identity and removing the meritocracy from everything we do, you can no longer justify making decisions that aren't based on some sort of skin color, at which point you look like you're discriminating. Now, it's been trendy to openly discriminate against white kids. That was a thing. The White House has kind of made a point of saying at time to time, we're going to fill this position with X. Others need not apply. Okay, which technically is illegal. So what I think a lot of big organizations are coming to understand is when you embrace things like all of these DEI initiatives, you're bringing in the worst possible people, the people who gravitate towards grievance, towards calling you a bigot, towards suing you. And you have a better chance of running your organization in the long run without incentivizing that type of unrest and just prioritizing meritocracy. So I think it's a good thing. But to the point of MIT, all they really understood is the whole prerequisite to getting into MIT for the last 50 years was having no dating prospects whatsoever. Wasn't that the hook? Hey, you're really good at math, and you're probably going to die alone.
You like Star Wars, Lord of the Rings, and coding. Please sign up here.
Have you ever gone to a Star Wars or a Lord of the Rings in costume as an adult over 18? You're accepted.
It's so true, but now they're trying to turn it upside down. They're like, well, we can't make it a meritocracy because we have to right the wrongs of the past, but they're doing it the wrong way.
Yes.
And it's like, yes, there is a case to be made that there are people who were, for whatever reason, disenfranchised for generations, but this isn't making it right. This is making it worse.
Yeah.
And you are going to pay the price for this down the line, because would you rather have like the really good neurosurgeon the one who ascended through the meritocracy on their own talents and hard work, or the person who they were like, well, you know what, let's go ahead and lower the bar.
Yep. And we all know the answer to that. The last thing you want to see on the side of your ambulance is a student driver sign, but that's where we're headed. That's where we're headed. It's why we can't have nice things.
We can't, not anymore.
Listen, if every single doctor was one thing, it's like a woman of Indian descent, it was a black one, whatever it was, but they had the highest levels of aptitude, you can throw every diversity requirement out the door. I just want good people.
Amen.
Look at that's all you ever want.
You said if you ever need surgery, you want a hot surgeon, which
that's just based on my search history. No, that's I don't have the money to pay for this. Well, we can work something out anyway.
It's like washing dishes.
Yeah, that's all.
You will be wearing rubber gloves.
Either way, it's like good for you. You still got it.
Oh, Jim. All right. Well, what do you see happening this week?
For real. I think there is a groundswell against these college kids that they might not be aware of. And as you see other left-leaning networks trying to gravitate away from this, there's also talk of maybe the ceasefire being a little bit better than the ceasefire we had going into October 7th, which, one can only hope. I think society is getting its legs back. What I mean by that is we all know who the a-holes are now. And in the infancy of social media, we didn't. That's how cancel culture became a thing. That's how weaponized censorship became a thing. I think America this week, more than ever, has rediscovered its ability to give the middle finger to the right people. Yeah. And that makes me very optimistic about the week ahead.
Yeah, now all we got to do, now that we have the middle finger, just got to bring back streaking. And we are on the right track.
We're halfway there.
Just make sure you have sunscreen in all the right places. Jimmy, thank you.
The best.
We'll see you Wednesday on your radio program.
Hey, girl.
Fox Across America.
It's hot.
Noon to 3 Eastern.
Better be there.
Find it on your local station. This has been Kennedy Saves the World, along with Jimmy Failla. I'm Kennedy.
Listen ad-free with a Fox News Podcast Plus subscription on Apple Podcasts, and Amazon Prime members can listen to this show ad-free on the Amazon Music app.
Oh, go ahead and leave me a review while you're there. I'd love to hear what you have to say. You've been listening to Kennedy Saves the World on the Fox News Podcast Network.